Happy Father's Day! Welcome everybody to John Ski Writes. I'm your host John Ski, and today we are here to celebrate Father's Day. Some of you may remember that I put out a Mother's Day video for Mother's Day. I'm not doing the same thing for Father's Day, putting up photos of brilliant fathers like I did brilliant mothers. Today I'm just going to talk about a couple of people who are brilliant fathers in my life growing up, sort of role models and people that I would look at when I found out that I was going to be a dad. When Caitlin found out she was pregnant and told me, she also woke me up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm pregnant! Pregnancy test in one hand and bacon in the other hand. She's like, but I bought bacon. I never got a bacon roll the next morning when I woke up. Very misleading. But she was true about the father. So here's just a video about a couple of men who are great fathers to me or in my life that I can look at and say, I hope I'll be a good dad like that. So sorry if you were hoping to be in the Father's Day video like your partners were or like the mothers were. I'll do one next year, but I just thought I didn't have time to, and I thought I don't want to leave it unsaid. So here we go. Some fathers that I know that are impactful on the way I parent and just generally in life. So obviously we'll start with my dad. Obviously he is a dad, he's my dad. And when I was little, he was obviously my hero. Like a lot of kids have their parents as their heroes. My dad was my hero growing up. He's actually the reason I support Chelsea. Chelsea, champions of Europe. You know what we are. He's the reason I support Chelsea, actually. I think one of the first football games I actually watched was Chelsea versus Tottenham. And there was a friend of mine at school that supported Chelsea around about 7, 8 years old. I think I was about 8, yeah. And I decided, like, I'm going to support Chelsea. Just join my dad because they beat Tottenham. And he said, Tottenham are the best team in the world, son. You'll learn this one day. And I was like, nah, they lost to Chelsea. Chelsea the best team in the world. That was back when Chelsea were nothing and had construction sites all around the stadium. I remember that back in 94, 95, whenever it was. So yeah, I supported Chelsea then, just to wind him up. And obviously as I got older and got into football, I actually just kept down to support Chelsea. And I actually did support Chelsea, as I do to this day. So that's a story about how I got into supporting football because of my dad. I remember playing football in the park, in the garden with my dad when I was a kid. I loved doing that. It was my favourite thing to do, was kick a ball around with my dad. I used to play goalkeeper. He used to play as a goalkeeper, sorry. He actually got in the papers a couple of times. He had an accident as well where someone kicked him in the chin and split open his chin. I remember that. Not personally, but I remember being told about that. So if ever me or Caitlin or my sister, my brother, etc., ever wanted anything for him or needed him for anything, then he's always there. So I love you, Dad. Thank you very much for being there, and we all appreciate it very much. Have a good day. Oh, I can't wait to see you when I come down next week. The next person I'm talking about is my granddad. I'm actually going to talk about my granddad and my uncle. So my granddad Peter and my uncle Gary, obviously father and son. My granddad was one of the best human beings ever. He was a great dad, not just to my mum and my uncle, but he was also a great dad to so many foster children that him and my nan had. Really, really good role model for any person starting out as a parent to look at and say, I want to be as good as him or like him, just in the way that he was. And although I know behind doors when I was a kid, I know behind the doors, there was probably times where him and my nan was stressed and pulling their hair out. He had less hair than me, believe it or not. So I know there was times like that, but to me, from a surface as a child, they always looked like they had everything under control. Everyone was happy. They had a firm hand when you were naughty. They were a soft touch when you were hurt or when you needed them. So fantastic parents. And my granddad was a fantastic father and a grandfather and a foster father. And, to see foster kids of theirs turning up at their funerals, just goes to show how loved he was, because it wasn't like a funeral was around here. We went about an hour's drive to where he's from originally in Margate. So it was a great sentiment to have from his foster children at the funeral, and just go to show what a great man he was. And my Uncle Gary, who's he's not shy in life if you meet him, but he's not a presence on social media. He doesn't go on social media for whatever reason. So I hope he doesn't mind me putting his photo up, because I'm not going to ask permission. I just want to talk about people, and he's one of them that inspires me to be a great dad, thinking about how he'd interact with me, foster kids, neighbours' kids, his own kids as well, obviously, growing up. And he was someone who, very similar to my granddad, was, for me, like a perfect person to look at, other than my own father and my grandfather. Perfect person to look at, just like his dad. He's a great father. He's there for you. He's he has to be strict. He's strict. He has to be soft. He's soft. Like he is a great person, a great human being again. And I know that my granddad is very proud of the person he is and he was. And yeah, happy Father's Day to you, Granddad. Happy Father's Day to you, Uncle Gary. You're both very inspirational for me when I found out to be a parent, wanting to emulate people like you guys who are really, really good dads. So thank you very much for being in my life, growing up and showing me how a father should act. I know I make mistakes, but thanks to the three of you, you know, I hopefully am a good dad, and I will be a good dad for years to come, even though I make many mistakes, like I'm sure you guys did. I know that, you know, you guys love the children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews, everything, but above all else, you're a great father. So thank you for showing me what to do, you know, through what you did. The last person I'll talk about is my brother-in-law, C1. Again, he's obviously a dad before me. My nieces and nephews are all a lot older than my children. And he is the opposite to my uncle. So he's more shy and reserved in real life, but very happy to be on social media, you know, posing for photos. Oh, look at me, yeah. It's funny when I just see these photos pop up on Facebook of him, and, you know, they're not selfies because he's not holding the camera, and my sister's taking them. But he's the opposite to my uncle. He's very shy and reserved in real life. So they sort of like swap online and real life, you know, personalities effectively, I don't know. But although they're both different in that respect, they're both great fathers. And just look at how his kids adore him. Like all three of them, Maria, Peyton, Ahmed, they all adore their dad. They love him to pieces. You know, he makes sure they've got a roof over their head. He makes sure they've got food in their bellies and clothes on their back. And that's all you can be at the end of the day as a dad. That is a good dad. But he's a great dad. The kids love him to pieces. Ahmed is basically a mini version of his dad. And Peyton is just like him with the posing and all the time on Snapchat and cameras and stuff. So happy Father's Day to you, C1. You're a great man, a great father. The kids all love you. And again, someone who, when I was going to be a dad, I thought, like, you know, C1's a good dad. Like, you know, that'd be someone I would be happy to emulate. Like, a relationship with my kids like he has would be fantastic. And I couldn't ask for a person to look after, you know, my nieces and nephews and my sister, unfortunately. And you're a great husband and a great father. So happy Father's Day to you. And happy Father's Day to all dads out there. I've had a good day. I've been with my daughter today. My wife and son are away, but they're coming back later, so I get to see my son later as well, and get my presents, even though I already know what my wife's got me, because I'm nosy. But yeah, so happy Father's Day to everyone out there. Happy Father's Day to me. Happy Father's Day, John. And my dad, granddad, uncle, and C1, the four of you, probably been the most influential as parents who I've looked to, and I found out I was first going to be a dad anyway, at least. And there's many more now that I am a dad. Now I live in Scotland and stuff, but you know, there's many more great fathers that I know and have seen. But those were the four, when I found out I was going to be a dad for the first time when Logan was first born, those were the first four people who had an influence through my life growing up. You know, seeing them as parents, how they interact with their children, how they interact with me, and obviously seeing C1 when he married my sister and had the kids with her. And, you know, so thank you very much for you four. You are all fantastic fathers, and happy Father's Day to everyone. Hope you had a good day, and I'll check you guys in the next video. Take care.